All right, so today what I'm going to be showing you is what you see on your screen right now, which is a Bitmoji classroom GIF on my Google Classroom banner. So before I get started with how I did this, I want to start with saying that this is not my idea. I did not come up with this. I just did probably the same thing that you did if you found this video. I did a search and I saw it and I loved it. So I'm going to continue down my Bitmoji classroom rabbit hole. And knowing that there's going to be people that want to know how I did this, I'm going to share the steps with you. And also, before you start this at all, there's a few things that you're going to need. First and foremost, you need to have the Bitmoji Chrome extension. So if you don't have that, then you're going to need to get started with that. And second, I'm getting started at the point where I already have my Bitmoji Classroom banner set up. So on a different class, let me go to a different classroom here. You can see that I already have a banner, right? The only difference is it's not animated. So this was something that I've already created and then since then have found how to turn this into a GIF. And so again, I'm going to share it with you, especially in anticipation of my colleagues who will want to know how I did it anyway. So here is my original. Now I teach at a middle school, so I have different class periods. And during this time of virtual teaching, being out for COVID-19, we each have different meet times. So that's why I have different slides here. So what I need to do first is I'm going to make a copy of what I've already got created. So I've already done one for period one. Here's my period one. This is kind of giving you an idea of what to look forward to. I've already done this for period one. So for my period two class, I'm going to select that second slide. If you've already got a background started, you're just going to select that slide if you'd like. Whatever step you're at, you can pick up with me. So I'm going to select the one slide from what I've already created. And I don't want to get rid of this because I might want to use it again later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File and make a copy of the selected slide because I only need that one for right now. This is just the way that I'm going to organize it. So I'm going to rename it P2 for period 2, Bitmoji Classroom GIF. Okay. So, and I'm going to keep it in another folder. I like to keep things super organized, so I'm just going to make sure I take care of this really quickly. And I've already created my Bitmoji Classroom folder. I'm going to save it there. Okay. So here I have my classroom that I've already set up, my classroom banner for Google Classroom. And the next step that I'm going to do is make some copies of this. Now, I'm going to have mine look exactly like my period one class, just for sake of making it easier on myself. And there were 6 slides. So I want to copy these 6 times. So copy and then paste. Okay. So I'm going to start with the first one now. I'm going to delete my Bitmoji that's already there. And then I'm going to go to my Bitmoji extension and I'm going to select this guy here. Okay, so I'm going to click and drag her. Now I want her facing the other way, so I'm going to go to Arrange, Rotate, and Flip horizontally. And I want her to kind of look like she's coming into the screen. Like that. Okay. Now, just for sake of, again, keeping things uniform, I'm going to resize her or trim her so that she is even with the space of my Google slide. Okay. Now I'm going to go to slide number 2. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my Bitmoji. So I deleted the one I already had there. And I'm going to go to my next one, which believe is this. I'm just going to double check make sure it's the hand in the air. Yep. And again, facing the other direction, since that is the direction of the whiteboard of information. Arrange, rotate, flip horizontally. And then I'm going to use slide number 1 as a guide for where she should go. So I want to keep her kind of close to my Bitmoji on my first slide. So they're kind of close together. And I can kind of flip through them real quick like that and make adjustments as needed. So I'm going to put her over just a little bit more. Okay, slide number 3, same process. Select and delete. And then this time it was this one. Okay, she's already facing the direction I want her, so I'm just going to move her up and then move her over again using slide number 2 as a guide. Now, let's see what I did here. Yes. So my next one is the one that I've already got. So the only differences I noticed from doing this for period 1, that it was the size was a little bit different. Like she was a little bit bigger than the Bitmojis that I added afterwards. So I'm just going to undo that trim and then resize her and reposition her to where I want her to be. Okay. And then slide number 5, I'm going to delete my original. I'm going to go to Bitmoji, and this one is jumping in front of the screen. So I'm going to move her up and in front, just for sake of silly. And then finally, my last one, and then just to embarrass myself even more than I already do on a daily basis, I'm going to put myself dabbing. Okay. And then I just want to make sure that it's in a similar spot. No, it looks like it's a little bit over. Okay, so I've added as many as I want. Now I'm sticking to 6 and sticking to keeping them kind of the same. You'll find out why in a moment. But first things first, I'm going to go all the way back up to slide number 1, and I'm going to put it in present mode. And then I'm going to click through my cursor real quick and make sure that's how I want it to be. So, works for me. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to download each individual slide as a PNG. Okay, so I'm going to click on the slide, File, Download, PNG. And now you'll see I have my downloads going automatically to my desktop. And I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to rename it. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. P2 for period 2. Bitmoji GIF. Slide 1. Now that slide 1 is super important. I'm just going to copy this for later because we're going to want to have them in order. Okay, so I've renamed that. And now I'm going to do the same thing to slide number 2. Download PNG. It's going to show up on my desktop. And then I can kind of see that this is the first one and that this is the second one. So I'm going to rename, Command V, and then change it to slide 2. And then I'm just going to keep doing that. Okay, so this is the reason why I stuck to 6 slides. If I made it any longer, then I'm going to have to repeat this process so many times. And because I have multiple classes, I'm going to already have to repeat it a number of times, unless all I do is change the information that's on my whiteboard, which, considering how long this is taking me, is probably what I'm going to do at this point. But because I wanted to show you all how the process works, I'm fine doing it the way that it is right now. Okay. Oh, I think it's this one. At this point, you're probably fast forwarding through me, which I don't blame you. Okay, and then slide 5. One, two, three, 4. And then finally, slide 6. All right, so now that I have this all set up with all of my individual slides downloaded as a PNG, I'm going to go to a GIF Maker app like this one. And you can see that this is where I did number 1. So let's start over here, and I'm going to upload my images. Now, I may have to start over. I don't know what's going to happen, if it's going to add on to what, yeah, and it did. It just added on to what I had done already. So just to make sure. Okay, so yeah, it added on to what I did already. So I'm just going to delete and do gitmaker.me again, and now it's empty. I'm going to do that process one more time. Now, while this is uploading, the only control panel option that I am modifying right now is the animation speed. So if I move it to the right, it's going to go slower. At the suggestion of the person I found this from, they did 400. So I'm just going to stick with 400 and kind of make sure that's how I want it to go. So if it is the way that I want it to go, then I'm going to click on Create GIF. And once it creates it, you now have the option to download it. So I clicked on Create GIF, and now that option is there to download. So I'm going to download it. Okay. And then rename it. And then just because I'm organized like that, I'm going to go to my period 2. I'm going to go to Upload Photo, and I'm just going to drag and drop this. Resize. Does that to me every time. And then resize over here. And then this does this to me every time. There we go. And there I am. So now what I'm going to do, now that I've already created one of these sets, well, I've created 2, but you at this point, if you have multiple classes, you've created one at least. And now what I'm going to do is just change the information that's in the middle. And because I've got this here from previous time, I can just copy and paste this text box from here onto a new one that I'll use for the GIF. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Again, this is not my original idea. I just know that once I start sharing this with my colleagues, I'll get a lot of how'd you do that? How'd you do that? And so the easiest thing for me to do is to make a video. And if you've got something out of it as well, then I've done my job here.